the NAIN ROUGE. Detroit, Michigan, 1701. According to the founding legend of the city itself, Antoine de la Mothe Cadillac, the French explorer who established Detroit, struck a small, red-faced, snarling creature with his cane after it appeared uninvited and mocking in his path. Within years, Cadillac had lost his fortune and was recalled to France in disgrace. The Nain Rouge, the Red Dwarf, has been blamed for nearly every disaster the city has experienced since. Witnesses reported seeing it the night before the catastrophic fire that destroyed Detroit in 1805. It was reportedly seen again before the riots of 1967. A milkman in 1976 claimed it leapt onto his truck and attacked him before vanishing. To this day, Detroit holds an annual event called the Marche du Nain Rouge, where thousands of residents march through the streets in costume specifically to symbolically banish the creature for another year. Like and subscribe now. The Nain Rouge doesn't like being ignored. Goatman. The Goatman is reported across dozens of states. Maryland, Texas, Kentucky, Wisconsin, always near the same kind of place. A deserted road, a bridge, a lover's lane where teenagers park at night. The most consistent version places his origin at a USDA research facility in Beltsville, Maryland, where a scientist conducting goat experiments was supposedly disfigured in a horrific accident, fled into the woods, and never came back fully human. Locals in Prince George's County have reported attacks on parked cars since the 1950s, decapitated animals left on porches, and an axe-wielding figure with the hindquarters of a goat chasing vehicles down isolated roads. In 1971, the legend grew strong enough that local police opened an actual file on Goatman sightings after a wave of reports from terrified teenagers within the same 2-week period. Loveland Frogman. Loveland, Ohio, March 1972. Police officer Ray Shockey is driving along Riverside Drive at night when he sees what looks like an injured dog lying on the road. He gets out to check on it. The animal stands up on 2 legs, 3 to 4 feet tall, leathery, wrinkled skin, a face like a frog. It looks directly at him, eyes catching his headlights, then turns, leaps over the guardrail, and disappears down the embankment into the Little Miami River. Shockey drives straight to the station and tells his partner, Officer Mark Matthews, who does not believe a word of it, until 2 weeks later, when Matthews is patrolling the exact same stretch of road and sees the exact same thing crouched in his headlights. He draws his revolver and fires. The creature staggers, then climbs calmly over the guardrail and vanishes. LLORONA. The story varies by region, but the core remains the same. A woman, sometimes named Maria, drowns her own children in a river in a fit of rage or grief, often after discovering her husband's betrayal, and is condemned to wander the earth forever, searching for them, unable to rest until she finds what she destroyed. She is described as a tall, pale woman in a white dress with long black hair covering a face that, when finally revealed, has no features at all, or sometimes a horse's skull. Her cry, "Ay, mis hijos," oh, my children, is said to carry across water on quiet nights. And according to the oldest versions of the warning, if her cry sounds close, she is actually far away. If her cry sounds distant, she is standing right behind you. Dover Demon. Dover, Massachusetts, April 21st, 1977, 10:30 p.m. 17-year-old Bill Bartlett is driving down Farm Street with 2 friends when his headlights catch something perched on a low stone wall. Not a dog, not a cat. A creature with a head shaped like a watermelon, far too large for its thin, spindly body, with 2 enormous orange eyes that glowed like marbles and no nose or mouth at all. Its fingers were long and thin, wrapped around the stones like tendrils. Bartlett stared at it for 7 or 8 seconds before driving past. When he turned to look back, it was gone. He went home and sketched it from memory, then wrote across the bottom, "I, Bill Bartlett, swear on a stack of Bibles that I saw this creature." 2 hours later and less than a mile away, 15-year-old John Baxter encountered the same creature crouched by a brook. The next night, a third teenager, Abby Brabham, saw it standing upright beside a tree on a completely different street. Lizard Man of Scape or Swamp. Bishopville, South Carolina. 2 a.m., June 29th, 1988. 17-year-old Christopher Davis is driving home from his shift at McDonald's when his tire blows out on the edge of Scape or Swamp. He gets out to change it. Behind him, a thumping sound. He turns around and sees something running toward him out of the dark. 7 feet tall, green and wet-looking, 3 fingers on each hand, red eyes, skin covered in scales like a lizard. It grabs at the car. Davis floors it. The creature jumps onto the roof and clings on as he swerves violently from side to side, trying to throw it off. When he finally loses it and gets home, his side mirror is destroyed and there are deep scratches gouged across the roof. Snallygaster. Frederick County, Maryland. The name comes from the German Schnellgeist, fast spirit, brought over by German settlers in the 1730s who described a half-bird, half-reptile creature with a metal beak capable of swooping down and carrying off livestock, and in the darker versions of the tale, small children. The legend went quiet for over a century until 1909, when a wave of sightings hit local newspapers with enough force that the story reached the New York Times. Witnesses described a creature with an octopus-like tentacled body, a beak lined with razor-sharp teeth, and a single enormous eye in the center of its forehead. In 1932, the Ku Klux Klan in Maryland reportedly offered a cash reward for the creature's capture, hoping to use the publicity to recruit new members. The Snallygaster became one of America's first documented media hoaxes, and the legend never died. HODAG. Rhinelander, Wisconsin, 1893. A logger and prankster named Eugene Shepard claimed to have tracked down and killed a horrifying beast deep in the forest, a creature with the head of a frog, the back of a dinosaur, thick, curved horns, rows of sharp spikes running down its spine, and a long spiked tail, all covered in coarse black hair. Shepard displayed a taxidermied version at the county fair, and newspapers across the state ran the story as fact. Crowds lined up to see it. Shepard later admitted, when pressed, that the entire thing had been carved from wood and ox hides in his workshop, one of the most elaborate practical jokes in regional American history. By that point, it no longer mattered. The HODAG had already become Rhinelander's identity. The local high school adopted it as their official mascot. A beer is named after it. A festival is held in its honor every year. Kirtland Melonheads. Kirtland, Ohio carries one of the darkest origin stories on this list because, unlike the others, several versions of this legend are rooted in something that may have actually happened. The most common version claims that in the early 20th century, a doctor near Kirtland was secretly treating children born with severe hydrocephalus, a condition causing abnormal fluid buildup in the skull, resulting in an enlarged melon-shaped head. According to the legend, when the doctor's unconventional treatments were discovered, an angry mob burned down his house and the children fled into the surrounding woods, where their descendants are said to still live today. Pale, hairless, with disproportionately large heads, occasionally seen darting along back roads at night. A second version ties the same description to inmates who escaped a nearby mental institution. Neither story has ever been confirmed through any historical record, and researchers have found no documentation of any such doctor, institution, or mob action in Kirtland's actual history. Beast of Bray Road. Elkhorn, Wisconsin. Population 6,500. Halloween night, 1989. Lori Andritzi is driving home from her shift managing a local bar when she rounds a bend on Bray Road and sees what looks like a person, kneeling. She slows the car to get a better look. 6 feet away, clear view, 45 seconds of direct observation. What she sees is not a person. Gray-brown fur, pointed ears, a long snout like a wolf, glowing yellow eyes that catch no reflection from her headlights. They were already glowing on their own. Its arms were jointed like a human's. Its hands had fingers tipped with claws, holding something between them. Roadkill, she realized, held palm up the way a person holds food, not the way an animal eats. 2 years later, on the same stretch of road, 18-year-old Dorothy Gibson hits something with her car hard enough to lift her front tire off the ground. She stops to check the damage. There is nothing on the road behind her until something slams into the trunk a second time.